years in now, and like I don't know. I'm able to walk, but I fear for like the
I'm
next 10
40
years.
years in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all right.
You're all right. So it gives me good. Like that's what I say because
Some people are and some people aren't.
right, and
You know what I mean?
and everyone's like, well, I'll be fucked when I'm older. But then I see some of the guys who are walking around and
Some are, some aren't.
yeah, hopefully I'm one of the I'm okay, and you're all right, except for that old hip.
Yeah, no, babe, it's fine.
Yeah, and now it's
No,
good.
it's good.
Where did you like when you were, let's say when you were my age, 35? Like what did you picture like where you are now? Did you have a picture?
No, not here. No,
that
I was just going to
microphone
I was just in Germany and England. You know what I mean?
And you were
no
like-
intentions of ever coming to America.
I guess like as wrestling wound down though, did you ever think about that?
Well, it didn't wind down in Germany till I came here. I came here while it was still going. It was still doing.
But I'm saying
pretty
while
good.
you were 35, if you were like in 15 years, I wonder what I'm going to be doing, or 20 years.
No, I never thought that far. I
That-
didn't think, well, next day. You couldn't do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I do. I don't know. Some people do. Some people don't.
Yeah, but then you're just going to be disappointed if you don't get where you think you're going.
Yeah, fair enough. I just.
You know, I've heard people make these plans, and I've got a plan in so many years. If I'm not there and I'm not there, great if it works out. But what if it don't?
I mean, I guess it's more of once you start getting out of the ring. That's what kind of hits. Like I'm thinking of. Is like
mean,
what
doing
does
something-
what does a wrestler do when he gets out of the ring? I know. I guess you're doing training here and there.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's only here and there, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it
Can't
just
make
a
a living out of it.
Is it just are you just a retired man? Is that
I don't know what. Yeah, it's strange.
yeah? It's just
And if you don't keep busy doing something,
yeah. Are you keeping busy?
you'll get demented. My father went demented.
Hey.
He got Alzheimer's and everything. He finished wrestling at about 55. Mm-hmm. He had both his hips done. Then he had a bit of a small heart attack. By the time he was 60, he'd got Alzheimer's.
Oh, did you have the
Because he was
heart?
doing nothing.
Did you have the heart attack from not wrestling?
Don't know what
You
it
don't
was,
know
just
what it
doing
was.
nothing, you know what I
All
mean?
right.
It's-
So you've been wrestling since you were what? 2? 4?
No. I started amateur when I was about 14.
Yeah.
Amateur, and then came in this business when I was 18 or 19. 18, maybe.
Oh, that's normal. So did you live a normal life before?
Well, I was a super stupid, crazy amateur wrestler. I was never going to come in this business.
Say it again.
I wanted to be Olympic Games type, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be a professional wrestler like
No.
my dad. I hated it.
And your dad was
He was
professional.
at the time, yeah. But my granddad was Olympian.
Okay.
He went to 2 Olympic Games. And my dad came in this business. And my granddad never liked it because my dad came in this business. I mean, my dad was British champion, amateur first. But I didn't like it. It was fake to me. It wasn't real. Mm-hmm. You know, I wanted real stuff. I wanted real.
Yeah. What did your dad tell your your grandpa's like, you're not allowed to do that?
Well,
He's like,
for 48 Olympics, it were going to be a father and son in Olympics. My father and my grandfather were going to be in 48 Olympics.
had that ever been a thing?
I don't think it was going to be the first time,
Yeah.
father and son. And my father lost in final. So he didn't go to Olympics. My granddad did, but he didn't. And after that, a guy called Norman Morell, who were an Olympian too, he was in 1936 Olympics, were a big promoter in joint promotions. And he got me dad and said, look, because Morell and my grandfather had a big rivalry when they were amateur. And Morell always told everybody that he beat my grandfather for the 36 Olympics, because my grandfather went to 32 Olympics in Los Angeles. And then the 36, I think, were in Berlin. And he told everybody that he beat my grandfather. But he didn't. My grandfather couldn't wrestle because he had they used to have septic knees all the time then, you know what I mean, and scabs on and, you know what I mean.
Okay.
Because they weren't looked after, you know what I mean.
Sure.
And he couldn't wrestle, and Norman Medal went in his place. But he lured my dad into professional.
Yeah. And he was just like, all right.
Yeah.
I didn't make the team.
Well, yeah, they make you know, they're working in a factory getting like a few dollars a week when they get a few dollars a night, you know, wrestling. So that's what he did.
And would your dad tell you? He was like, I was on $1.25 a night for a show.
He wouldn't have been on much more.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And that was big time though,
Yeah,
probably.
that was big time, yeah.
What were who was on top then?
Oh, in them days, it was that time of Bert Azarati and people like that, you know what I mean? And Gordon Corbett. Not Gordon. Yeah, Gordon Nelson.
Okay, I've
Gordon
heard
Nelson.
of Bert Azarati, I think.
Yeah, but he was a killer, you know what I mean? A monster.
And so they were on $3 a night. Maybe.
Might have been.
Yeah.
I remember my dad told the promoter, this Norman Morell, that he wanted more money. So he was like working maybe 20, 25 times a month. And he said, I want £10 instead of £8. He had no problem. Just cut his work in half.
All right. There.
So that's what they do.
Yeah.
You know what promoters are like.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so you were like, this stuff looks corny. I watched my dad do it. You're kind of in on it, yeah?
Yeah, I was in on it, but I still believed it.
Because
I couldn't see how they could do it not real.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I was looking at it, and if I watched my dad and some people wrestling, it looked real. Mm-hmm. And I used to sit like that, when they had holds on, because I'd been in them holes, and most of them were shoot holes.
Well, then why did you say it looked kind of corny, I guess, for lack of...
No, I didn't say it looked corny. I just didn't want to do it.
Just because you knew what it was?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I didn't want real. I couldn't be told to lose.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to
Gotcha.
be told you lose. Why should I lose?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I soon came round.
And later when you got in, were you a guy that had a problem saying I don't want to lose?
No. Once I went in, no.
Once you knew the whole shtick.
Yeah. No, because if you got a problem saying you lose, you shouldn't be in the job.
Well, no one will give you work, right?
Nobody will give you work, and there's plenty of places you can go and fight real.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that was the point. So
Well,
you didn't want to fight real to a point?
Well, there was no money.
There's
There's
nothing.
no money in that, you know what I mean?
God.
I mean, I remember my first wrestling shows. I went to Scotland for a week.
For your first wrestling show?
Yeah, I went to Scotland.
Okay.
Went in the ring van, put the ring up, and wrestled my first match with Oric Williams. And I think I got £3 for wrestling and £4 for putting ring up. Well, that was £7. I only got £9 a week working in a factory.
Yeah. But also you were like, why am I wrestling? This ring work pays more.
Well, better when you'd done it both, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
of
I would have been in
course.
Scotland for a week, came home, I'd got like £50.
Yeah.
That took me over a month to a factory.
And that seems like it's weird because it seems that's like an ongoing theme for a lot of the like I had Johnny Saint on here and he was kind of saying the same thing, but also were those guys necessarily like in that? It seemed like in that job in that time you'd make a little more, but nobody was getting super rich or anything. Like
No, you didn't get super rich, but you made a decent living. I mean, at back end, like such as Rocco, Matty Jones, Finlay, they were making good money. I didn't get to their level, but I was getting there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I was in Germany most of the time. Where in Germany, I was making like double or treble of what you made in England.
But then would you like hear about, I guess in '84, like Hogan's making millions.
Oh yeah.
There was Daddy a guy who made millions?
No.
Yeah. So.
No. They made a good living.
Right.
They made top guys like Daddy and that, Mick McManus, Logan. A lot of top guys made a decent living.
Did people say like, "How are we gonna make?" Sorry to make this all about money, but that's how my mind works. Yeah. We're like, I wonder if were there people saying like, "How do we get this to make millions?" Or was fucking announcer
Crabtrees.
Was he the only one making?
I don't think they even thought about making.
No one had that kind of thought.
I don't think they even thought about it. Just they put a show on and people came.
Right. I guess that's
but Daddy would have been the only one that would ever pushed in a big way. You know what I mean? Mick McManus and Steve Logan and that, they were just the bad guys. They were just all the big timers bad guys. But Daddy were like one of the only ones I think that were like pushed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
but it worked.
Was that like the first time you ever saw like a marketing team? Does that make sense?
Well, we just thought they were putting him over because of his brothers.
Yeah, but his brother was pushing him and getting him on these TV gigs, right? Had there been stuff like that? I guess like kind of Jackie Pallo. Did he have like?
No, it wasn't like that. No, they didn't get pushed. They were just over. They just got over by themselves.
You don't think it was from him? And you know more than I do, but I'm just like wasn't he doing children TV shows?
Daddy. Oh yeah.
That he was just doing those because he was already over.
Because he were over.
So it wasn't like that was the movement to get him over.
No. That because he were over. He was like a household name.
Gotcha. I mean, I was just listening to this thing Dave Meltzer was talking about, like how Hogan got over, by being put with Cyndi Lauper and being put with Mr. T.
Well, Daddy didn't go with nobody. Just the first time Daddy were on television, I remember it as plain as day. I was watching it. Kel Walton, the announcer, said, "I've never seen anything as more ridiculous in all my life."
His first wrestling match. Yeah. Okay.
First time on television. First time Daddy had been a wrestler for a long time before he went on television. And all he did were a couple of belly butts and a splash. And Ken Walton said, "This is disgusting. I hope we never see this again."
Wow. And he's the voice of...
wrestling.
And despite
he said a totally different thing the week after because he'd been told.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Wow. So that was just his true...
Yeah.
How come his brother didn't say to Ken Walton, "Hey, man, make sure you make this guy look..."
Well, I don't even know why they put it on TV because it were all taped.
Right.
It might not... Max might not have took over by then. It might have been just at the beginning where he were the guardsman. He might have been the guardsman.
Who's the guardsman?
Daddy.
Oh, he was wrestling as the guardsman.
He wore a big. He wore actually in the guards, Coldstream Guards. He wore the big hat, from Buckingham Palace.
And once he was like, "Hey, you're allowed to be Big Daddy," did he just like eat everything? Because he was in shape at one point. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't mean to make this the Big Daddy chat.
Oh, you've seen pictures of him when he was younger.
Yeah.
Good.
Did you have a relationship with him?
I think you were at our house all the time. My father and me were real good friends because they lived in the same town.
He was your buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to bring this up. Regal told me that I'm obviously infatuated with Les Kellett.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa. That's a good subject. It's old Leslie.
Yeah. For those who don't know, it's just was this man? He was. You tell me more, but I know you had a relationship with him, and you tell me what you want and what you don't want. But he was a comedic genius in the ring, was he not?
Yeah.
And then he was known, I guess, as a hard man outside of the ring.
He was a hard man.
Yeah.
And a horrible, horrible man.
Or just a mean man.
Mean, horrible man.
And it's so... Because he's just... that's the essential of Jim Carrey or Eddie Murphy on television. That's a horrible reference for now. Andy Samberg may... I don't know, and just behind the scenes, just... So your dad used to take him around? Well, there was something like that.
They were partners, yeah. When Les became a big name on TV, he was one of the biggest... Before Daddy, he was the biggest name on TV. Okay. And everybody thought he was such a great personality and what a nice guy. And then they started being... I think that's what killed my father. I'm telling you, because my dad had to travel with him.
Okay.
And I was normally sat in the back. But I'd try to go to sleep. But sometimes he wouldn't talk, or other times he'd just go... or he'd read the paper for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Or sometimes he'd pick me up and we'd just get in the car and he'd put his foot to the floor and doing 80 mile an hour, but in a car that should have been doing 10.
Right.
You know what I mean?
One of those Flintstone cars. Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
And people would recognise him wherever he went. He'd go in a transport cafe, sit down. I like going with him because he bought all my food.
Right.
He would always pay for it.
That's all right.
Which is good for me.
Yeah.
So I'd go in, we'd get a meal, sit down, and all of a sudden some truck driver would come up and go, "Hey, Les, all right to sit down with you?" Les would just look at him. Guy would sit down. He'd get up and move with Les. So he'd do he'd shake his head and say, "You come on too." So I'd go sit with him, you know what I mean? And he'd say, "That man thinks he knows who I am." And I'd look at Les and, well, he does. Called you Les, you know what I mean? But I never said anything. But I could tell you some stories about him.
Of him just... So never was friendly to any fans outside of the ring?
No.
Not
really, no. I'd never seen him anyway. I'd never seen him do it. And I was with him a lot.
Okay. Were you with him? Sorry, when he because there's a point where he wasn't comedic and then he turned comedic, right?
Oh no, I didn't know him till he was a big name. You know what I mean?
You didn't know him till he was a comedy guy.
Yeah.
Did you God, I just because you know me, I'm silly in the ring and I appreciate that. Did you see his matches and were you in awe? And were you in awe?
Well, when you watch these if you watch some of his matches, everybody would say he's funny, but he's tough.
Right.
He won't be in the goof, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. He'd do his drunken stupor sometimes, and fall out of the ring and come back in and stuff like that. But everything he did looked solid, and it was solid. And you'd only work with certain people that sell it stuff. Otherwise, you'd whack him hard. You know, and he had big hands like shovels. He was going banana fingers.
I was going to say, that's what I heard, yeah.
And I've seen him get all the bouncers and just squash their heads
Yeah.
with his fists.